Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Tales of Herding God Part 211 based on novel. So let's start. The white-haired elder continued his story. Afterwards, I became an official in the celestial heavens, which had 4 great celestial palaces. I oversaw Green Dragon Palace and its 60-star god divisions. All of them was under my administration. I was honored as Green Emperor, but I disliked this title since it was too overbearing, and I changed my name to Qin Mu. Now that founding Emperor Celestial Heavens was eradicated and Green Dragon Celestial Palace no longer exists, you can just call me Elder Qin Mu. Qin Mu greeted him once again and said, Qin family's 107th descendant Qin Mu pays his respects to Elder Qin Mu. Elder Qin Mu hurriedly motioned for him to straighten. Please rise. When I saw you coming here, I immediately knew your bloodline and guessed you were a descendant of founding emperor. You want to learn the dragon language of this true dragon's nest. I can teach you. Qin Mu was overjoyed and bowed in gratitude. Thanks for the trouble, Senior. Elder Qin Mu brought him into the true dragon's nest and said, I see that your paths, skills, and divine arts have already gained small success, and you seem to be cultivating both god and devil paths. You seem to have opened your divine treasures of both, which is very strange. Seeing how you have already found your path, learning the technique of my dragon race will only be decorating something that's already perfect. On the other hand, for this little dragon, you should receive a lot of benefits. Jiang Miao, which was a little dragon, at that moment tiptoed behind Qin Mu. When he heard what Elder Qin Mu said, he shrunk his head back and said, Maha. Elder Qin Mu smiled at him. No need to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank him. That's right, Qin Mu. I can sense something very strange about your body, and it's on your neck. It seems to be a jade pendant, with a very powerful seal hidden inside it. Is this what the senior has sensed? Qin Mu took out his jade pendant and said, it was crafted by Earth Count, and he said it's to seal my devil nature. I was born in Yudu, and got invaded by the devil nature lingering in there, so Earth Count crafted this for me. As long as I wear it, it can suppress my devil nature. Elder Qin Mu looked at the jade pendant and sneered. Earth Count sealed your devil nature. Why would he be so nice? Give me that jade pendant, I'll help you undo the seal. This, Qin Mu looked at him with a troubled expression, and said in a low voice, Senior, King Yama once tried to undo it and suffered the curse of the jade pendant. Also, Fu Riluo of the devil race also tried to undo the seal, and got cursed as well. He ended up in quite a miserable state. My master and King Yama said that it's best to not undo the seal in the jade pendant, and that I shouldn't let the jade pendant leave my body. Otherwise, terrifying things will happen. What is there to fear from a mere curse? Elder Qin Mu said with a smile. However, if even teacher said so, then there must be a reason. Come, let me clear your doubts in regards to the true dragon technique on the true dragon's nest. In the true dragon's nest, Qin Mu finally achieved what he wanted and comprehended all of the dragon language inside it. Elder Qin Mu was a divine dragon, so he knew all of the dragon language. His abilities were extremely high, to the point that Qin Mu didn't know what realm he was exactly. However, to be able to become the master of Green Dragon Palace, one of the 4 great celestial palaces of founding Emperor Celestial Heavens, he should have been stronger than Saint Woodcutter, or King Yama. The combination of the stars was known as the Celestial Heavens, but separately they were known as the 5 palaces. Green Dragon Celestial Palace ruled the 60 stars of Eastern Heaven, White Tiger Celestial Palace ruled the 27 stars of Western Heaven, Vermilion Bird Celestial Palace ruled the 39 stars of Southern Heaven, and Black Tortoise Celestial Heaven ruled the Northern Heaven. In the center was Heavenly Emperor Celestial Palace, which ruled heavenly emperor stars. Besides it, Green Dragon Celestial Palace was in the lead of the other 4 great celestial palaces, so one could well imagine how strong was Elder Qing Huang. He didn't decipher the technique of the true dragon lord like little dragon Jiang Miao, who went through word by word. Instead, he directly transformed all of the writings into techniques and imparted them to both of them, from the simplest to the hardest. The main technique was called Ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery Technique, and it utilized all of the dragon language to reverberate in the corporeal body and primordial spirit with the dragon roars. The method of vital qi, divine art, and body refinement cultivation were all hidden in the writings. To a cultivator, this technique raised all of their aspects. What concerned the vigor of the vital qi, the exquisiteness of the divine arts, and the strength of the corporeal body, these were the most top-notch techniques that were on the level of Tao realm. If Qin Mu could comprehend everything completely, entering the path of technique would not be a difficult task. This was the first time Qin Mu had seen a technique on such a level, and it was even complete. The 14 writings of Tao Sword were incomplete, because the stars in the sky were fake. The 14th writing couldn't be comprehended no matter what, so the 14th sword could never reach the realm of path. Great Thunderclap Monastery's Ruli's Mahayana Sutra could only cultivate the frame of mind to the realm of path, while the cultivation realm could only be cultivated to the 20th heaven. Once one reached Brahma realm, there were no further techniques. Little Jade Capital's technique could allow people to cultivate to the realm of God, after which it was broken off. Heavenly Saint Cult's great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures had extremely high attainments in the divine arts, but it also had no techniques after becoming a god. Because there was a gap in Eternal Peace Empire's inheritance, there was a natural inadequateness. All the techniques in each and every one of the sacred grounds were lacking. Supreme Emperor Heaven might have complete inheritance and have numerous gods and devil gods. Qin Mu hadn't seen a technique that could allow a person to reach the realm of path. Neither had he heard of it before. Even the true God of Supreme Emperor Heaven could only cultivate one aspect of themselves to the realm of path. If they wanted to cultivate all aspects to the realm of path, they needed to comprehend and train. The techniques of Supreme Emperor Heaven couldn't let anyone cultivate to the realm of path. The one technique which could reach the realm of path straight away was Ancestral Dragon's Supreme Mystery Technique. By following it, one could cultivate the Ancestral Dragon primordial spirit and raise their comprehension of the dragon's divine arts to the realm of path. Their comprehension of the corporeal body could also reach such a level, making it a heaven-defying technique. It surpasses even my Overlord Body 3 elixir technique. Qin Mu couldn't help sighing ruefully. When he bade farewell to Zhahuali in Supreme Emperor Heaven, he had fallen into the state of technique entering the Tao, in which he had revised all the divine arts of Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, and reached the most perfect state. However, it was a pity that he got interrupted by a bunch of devil experts during the process of fusing the divine eyes. Even so, he had taken the first step of technique entering the path. But that was different from path realm technique. Technique entering the path could allow his corporeal body, primordial spirit, and divine arts to reach the state of a young true god. The path realm technique was a level higher and could allow one's divine arts, the corporeal body, and the primordial spirit to reach the path of realm. On top of that, it had a technique after entering God realm. Even though this technique is good, it's more suitable for dragons to cultivate. If I cultivate Ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery Technique, my achievements will definitely be inferior to those of Jiang Miao. To me, only the most suitable technique for me is the best technique. Qin Mu pushed the weight off his shoulders. Even though the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery Technique was good, he still chose Overlord Body 3 Elixir Technique over it. However, Ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery Technique was still very useful to him. He could borrow the path of refinement within it to refine his corporeal body, primordial spirit, and divine arts and perfect his overlord body 3 elixir technique. This method of refinement was called 8 Voices of Ancestral Dragon, and it was an extremely overbearing method. It was separated into sticking voice, killing voice, seizing voice, absorbing voice, guiding voice, spinning voice, hammering voice, and refining voice. Qin Mu immediately tried it out, and the circulation of his vital qi vibrated with a strange rhythm. Sticking voice burst forth, and his vital qi became incomparably sluggish, vibrating at an extremely high frequency. In an instant, Qin Mu felt a marvelous change happening in his corporeal body. His blood became sticky and astonishing booms would burst forth when he circulated it. The circulation of his qi and blood had become even more boundless, like an avalanche rolling down snow mountains. When his qi and blood circulated to his palm, it became as big as a palm leaf fan. Circulating vital qi in his palm gave off loud explosions like thunder rumbling. He used sticking voice to refine his blood vessels, then after one round, he dispersed it, feeling refreshed. Qin Mu then executed killing voice. It trembled his consciousness, refining it to become incomparably pure. He executed seizing voice, and his 3 souls almost got scattered. Seizing voice refined the 3 souls, absorbing voice refined the 7 spirits, guiding voice refined the heart, spinning voice refined the spirit, and refining voice refined the Tao heart. Qin Mu refined them one by one, gaining some understanding of the 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon. He then scattered his vital qi in high spirits, and used it to construct the circulation path of his overlord body 3 elixir technique. His next step was to incorporate what he'd learned into his own technique. In front of him, vital qi created various circulation paths, which led to a form somewhat similar to a human. But looking at it in detail, one could see a complicated structure. It dealt with Qin Mu's spirit embryo, 5 elements, and 6 directions divine treasure. His vital qi circulated in these divine treasures, and formed an incomparably complicated system. The path of his vital qi in every divine treasure was different. Not only that, if one looked at every organ in his body, one would discover that his vital qi had a different path of circulation in his heart than his kidneys, and the path of circulation in his legs was also different from his 5 viscera and 6 bowels. It was truly extremely exquisite. He tried to incorporate 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon into his vital qi circulation. Surprisingly, there were not many places he needed to change. He just needed to utilize guiding voice when his vital qi reached the heart, sticking voice when his vital qi reached the blood vessels, and spinning voice when his vital qi reached the spirit embryo. It was all as simple as that. He altered his technique in true dragon's nest while ignoring everything in his surroundings. Elder Qing Huang and Jiang Miao were immediately attracted by the activity, and their gazes landed on the circulation diagram in front of him. "Stop looking," Elder Qing Huang said with a shake of his head to Jiang Miao. "You can't learn it. This youth is very wide, and he's like a monster. His foundation and wisdom have reached a step that you will never walk onto. Let me talk to you about the marvel of Ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery Technique, to answer any questions you might still have." "Maha," Jiang Miao replied in a soft voice. Elder Qing Huang smiled at him. "You don't have to be scared of me." Jiang Miao picked back his courage and transformed into a human. He stood obediently on the side. Elder Qing Huang explained to him Ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery Technique. He tried to simplify it in case the youth didn't understand. The lecture just went on for 4 to 5 days, until Qin Mu finally incorporated 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon into his Overlord Body 3 elixir technique. When he executed it and his vital qi circulated, it would naturally give off 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon to refine his corporeal body, primordial spirit, vital qi, and Tao heart. Even when he executed his divine arts, 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon operated and refined them. Qin Mu slithered through True Dragon's nest while executing divine arts after divine arts. Dragon roars rang out endlessly, and the power of the moves became stronger and stronger. He couldn't help becoming delighted at the sight of it. ZHNNG. He pulled out 2 pig-slaughtering knives and swung them to execute midnight battles across the stormy cities. However, the moment he did so, the 2 knives in his hands shattered into pieces from the vibration. Qin Mu was stunned and took out a bamboo cane from his Daotai sack and stabbed out with it. The bamboo cane turned into fine powder. The power of 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon is too strong. No random spirit weapon can be used with it. He took out a sword pellet, and flying swords rushed out like flowing water to form into a long knife. Qin Mu grabbed it and pulled to the sides. The long knife separated into 2, and he executed every cloud has a silver lining. The knife lights crossed each other, and the power become was even stronger than before. It nearly severed the pillars of True Dragon's nest, and Qin Mu hurriedly pulled back his move before he demolished the dragon's nest. He examined the 2 long knives, then threw them into the sky. The long knives separated into flying swords and swirled around him. Qin Mu examined them in detail, and let out a shaky breath. He said with excitement, "Luckily, my flying swords were refined well, otherwise, I really wouldn't have any weapon to use." He sank into his thoughts again. Besides 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon, there were other divine arts in the technique from which he could learn. Ancestral Dragon's Supreme Mystery Technique had numerous divine arts with unpredictable changes, and they could even be changed into Buddhism divine arts. Some could even become divine arts of Tao sect, or even be executed as divine arts of the Devil Path. Qin Mu felt that numerous divine arts could also be changed into sword skills. If treated as knife skills, they would also possess great power. There were also a lot of extraordinary points about the body movement divine arts, and the pupil divine arts were also very astonishing. The deeper Qin Mu studied Ancestral Dragon's Supreme Mystery Technique, the better he understood how extraordinary it was. He hated himself for not being a dragon, and being unable to unleash the divine arts of this technique to the extreme. When he awoke once again, he saw that Elder Qing Huang and Jiang Miao were both no longer inside the True Dragon's nest. He hurriedly flew out, and saw Jiang Miao cultivating Ancestral Dragon's Supreme Mystery Technique. The youth had transformed into a sapphire blue dragon, which slithered around as he executed his technique and skills. He used the fighting skill from Ancestral Dragon's Supreme Mystery Technique, and in just a few short days, his cultivation and abilities had increased drastically. His change was more than just eye-catching. Qin Mu sighed. He saw that numerous young men and women were observing Jiang Miao training by the side, full of cheers. Qin Mu walked to a young girl, who was about the same age as him. She was probably only a year or 2 younger than him. He asked her with a smile, "How do I address this little sister?" The young girl's face instantly turned red and she said, "My name is Qing Ya. Don't call me little sister though. I'm already 300 years old." "How old are you?" Qin Mu flushed and looked at the youth beside him whose age was similar to his as well. He probed him. "This brother." "I'm 637 years old this year," said that youth. Qin Mu gave a dull grunt. The young men and women in the village all had terrifying ages. A middle-aged man said with a smile, "I'm 20,800 years old." Qin Mu no longer asked for anyone's age. His spirit suddenly rose though and he said with a smile, "Have you guys been to Eternal Peace? I'm the cult master of Eternal Peace's Heavenly Saint cult, and we are in need of people currently." Elder Qing Huang raised his fishing net and walked over with a black face. "Don't even think about my village. I've already imparted you the technique, so you should go. Senior, now that Supreme Emperor Heaven is fighting for its survival, even my master has gone to help, Qin Mu hurriedly said. Qing Ya, see off the guest, Elder Qing Huang ordered. The young girl named Qing Ya burst forth, with incomparably terrifying vital qi. She restricted Qin Mu in a split second, making him unable to move. Qing Ya stretched out her other hand to grab Jiang Miao and said, both of you, don't move. I'm going to send you guys 1,000 miles away. After she said that, she spewed out a breath, and clouds instantly filled the sky. It sent the two youths flying far into the distance. Such terrifying cultivation. Somewhat shocked, Qin Mu shouted out, Senior, I still have things I want to say. Suddenly, the cloud vapor dispersed, and they landed on a mountain. Qin Mu was slightly stunned. He looked for the small mountain village, but he could no longer see it. Before he could even finish his sentence, he was sent 1,000 miles away, by the young girl that looked the same age as him. Maha! There was envy on Jiang Miao's face. You will also be so powerful. Qin Mu let out a sigh. Suddenly, the true dragon's nest came flying over right in front of them in an instant. Qin Mu's face changed drastically. The true dragon's nest was incomparably heavy, and he rushed to avoid it, but then saw it pause before landing gently on the mountaintop. Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief while filled with astonishment. Was the true dragon's nest thrown by Qing Ya as well? Isn't her magic power too strong? I can only execute 200-300 pounds of flying swords for a distance of no more than 200 miles, yet she was able to control the true dragon's nest 1,000 miles away. Maha! Jiang Miao said enviously. Feeling helpless, Qin Mu turned back to him and said, Dao friend Jiang, you can speak human language now. Strange. I'm not an unlucky star. So why was Elder Qing Huang unwilling to let me stay? Qing Ya had sent Qin Mu from the tiny dragon village before using her vital qi to wrap around the true dragon's nest to send it 1,000 miles to the youth's side. While doing so, she asked Elder Qing Huang, Old Ancestor, why did you send Brother Qin away so fast? Isn't he a descendant of founding emperor? The other villagers were also curious and all crowded up to hear the answer. Old Ancestor has said that you and founding emperor once swore to live and die together. So it was truly unreasonable to chase away Brother Qin. Elder Qing Huang gave them a stare. How was I being unreasonable? Back then, founding emperor and I had sworn to live and die together, but it was mostly me that was suffering and him constantly benefiting at others' expense. Founding emperor brought his family to Carefree Village to be carefree, and threw his terrible mess to us while he himself lived without any concern. He wants me to clean up his shit. In his dreams. Qing Ya and the rest looked at one another in dismay. Elder Qing Huang grew angrier with each word he spoke. Never seen me speak vulgarities before. I was the most famous expert of vulgarity in founding Emperor Celestial Heavens. I once even scolded a bull god to death. Founding Emperor left behind a terrible mess and many Dao friends are waiting for him to make a comeback, but what's next? He turned his back on the fishing net and walked out of the village with a hint of anger in his voice. Until now, he still hasn't shown his face. How many of our brothers' hearts have turned cold? This Qin Mu is his 107th descendant, but a fallen feather of a phoenix is inferior even to a hen dragon. The name of 107th descendant is merely a title. Which 107th descendant of an emperor is still a prince? Such far-off descendant of a true dragon is even inferior to a long worm. If founding emperor wants to ask me out of the mountain, he will have to come out of Carefree Village to do that personally, otherwise, even if the crown prince comes, I won't bother with him. Everyone followed him and came to a cold pond. Elder Qing Huang threw the net into the water, but he didn't pick it back even after a while. After some time, he said, "This Qin Mu has some abilities, but they're still not enough." Far from enough. His motive for coming here was to take back the commander's seal and learn Ancestral Dragon's supreme mystery technique, and I gave him both of them. The bloodline of us green dragons no longer owes him anything. We no longer owe Qin family anything. Qing Yue and the rest didn't say a word, but a middle-aged man coughed once. "Old ancestor, if you don't pull out the net, all the fish are going to escape." Elder Qing Huang kept muttering to himself. This Qin Mu is a young fellow who is used to creating trouble. I'm very accurate when judging people, and will never make a mistake. His temper is similar to that of founding emperor back then. They both can't sit still and like to create trouble while fiddling with things. I'm worried that if you guys follow him, you'll be in danger. We have lived in this village for 20,000 years, and even though life is very plain, we are living peacefully. Old ancestor, the fish have really escaped. Qing Yue said nervously. Even though that founding emperor fellow is very hateful, and I had to always to be afraid for my life when being around him, I miss that time. When I reminisce about it, my heart grows warm. And my eyes become moist. Qing Yue dove into the cold pond with a plop, and brought a huge scarlet-red fish out after a moment. Elder Qing Huang still didn't stop muttering to himself. Why would I miss that time? Could I have become old? No, I can't let you guys out of the village. This Qin Mu is crafty looking and I could see at first glance that he's full of mischievous ideas. The villagers of the dragon village spewed fire to roast the fish after leaving Elder Qing Huang beside the pond. Since they were a distance away, Qing Yue said, "I think that Brother Qin has delicate features and looks quite handsome. With his big, clear eyes, he doesn't look like a bad guy. Don't talk so much. Old ancestor is waging a war between man and heaven. In addition, old ancestor is a vulgar person by nature. How could he have anything nice to say?" the middle-aged man said in a low voice. "Uncle Yang, has old ancestor really scolded a bull god to death before?" the young people all asked in curiosity. The middle-aged man Qing Yang hesitated for a moment before nodding. He whispered, "He was a true god who got scolded for 3 days and 2 nights straight, and there wasn't a single repeated vulgarity that came out from old ancestor's mouth. The bull god could retaliate neither verbally nor physically, so he was angered to death just like that. Rumors said that the blood he had vomited formed a river, and he cried for 3 days before taking his last breath." Everyone was startled and turned back to look at Elder Qing Huang, who was still muttering to himself in a daze beside the pond. There's devil nature within this mischievous brat, a devil nature that's so deep that even Earth Count had to suppress him. Earth Count usually only suppress great evils, so he's indeed nothing good. However, this little brat learns things pretty quickly, and he has his own ideas, which makes him a talent. But if he likes to create trouble so much, it's easy for him to dance into death's embrace. While the young people of the dragon village ate the roasted fish, Qing Yue asked with puzzlement, "Is old ancestor praising Brother Qin or scolding him?" Elder Qing Huang still continued to wage war. "I can't let the younger generations waste their lives away with me here. Maybe letting them out of the village would not be a bad thing." Everyone finished the fish and left the ground covered in fish bones. Elder Qing Huang finally finished his battles and shook off the water from the net. He prepared to pull it out and said with a smile, "Qing Yang, we shall eat roasted fish tonight. After we finish eating, I permit you guys to take a walk around Great Ruins." Qing Yue and the rest cheered before dispersing. Elder Qing Huang was stunned for a moment before just shaking his head. Jiang Miao changed into a youth that looked somewhat similar to Qin Yu. He followed Qin Mu while cultivating Ancestral Dragon's supreme mystery technique. He executed all kinds of moves and divine arts, training his body continuously. He was very hard-working. Qin Mu executed his Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, and with every circulation, 8 voices of Ancestral Dragon would ring once. With the endless dragon roars, he continuously refined his body. The two of them walked toward Spirit Energy Mutual Shift Bridge. Their speed wasn't too slow. Qin Mu refined Jiang Miao a few water element divine vitality pills to replenish his energy when he was tired from cultivation. Jiang Miao wasn't picky, but the taste of water element divine vitality pills wasn't good. However, it was compatible with his vital qi, so he ate them and even praised Qin Mu's craft. Qin Mu thought of the dragon Qilin and gave a silent sigh. Right then, he suddenly stopped and looked around. Jiang Miao hurriedly did the same and asked with curiosity, "Cult Master, what's wrong?" Qin Mu pondered over it before saying, "I feel something closing in fast, but if I try to focus on it, I don't see anything. Strange. Could I have been wrong?" He continued to head forward. After they had walked far into the distance, a medicinal peony flower suddenly floated over like smoke before transforming into Pangong Tso. He looked like himself, just that he had a deer leg. The brat could actually detect me. My cultivation has clearly risen drastically, but he still discovered me. The improvement of this brat's cultivation isn't slow either. He even has a small brat that looks to be a dragon beside him. The brat is truly a lucky bastard to receive the assistance of a true dragon. It might even be that he's kidnapping and selling true dragons. Someone is coming. While Pangong Tso was thinking, his ears caught a sound, and his body shook to transform into a huge tree. 2 eyeballs appeared on its branches. Whoosh! A bunch of green dragons whizzed past him while riding on a violent gale. The sight stunned him. The shortest of the green dragons was some 150 yards long. The group seemed to be chasing after Qin Mu. Whoosh! The violent gale rushed over, and the dozens of green dragons stopped in the vicinity of Pangong Tso. The shortest dragon shook her body and transformed into a young girl in green. She checked the surroundings and said, "He just left, so he shouldn't have gone far. We will be able to catch up to him in a bit." Suddenly, the biggest green dragon coiled around that tree that was Pangong Tso and stared at him. There's something strange about this tree. Pangong Tso didn't dare to be impudent and hurriedly revealed his true form. He smiled apologetically, "Senior dragons, might you guys be chasing after a youth called Qin Mu?" This junior saw a fierce-looking man escaping into that direction. He even had a kidnapped dragon youth beside him. "You saw him?" Qing Ya was surprised and delighted. She asked in a hurry, "Where has he went?" "Junior can lead the way for seniors. That fellow will definitely not have any way to escape," Pangong Tso said righteously. Everyone was overjoyed and smiled at him. "If you can lead us to him, it'll save us the trouble of tracking him." Pangong Tso acted politely and swiftly hobbled ahead to lead the way. He smiled. "The brat is very slippery and he runs fast. However, he can never escape from me. Everyone, please follow me." Numerous green dragons transformed into young men and women along with the middle-aged man Qing Yang. They followed Pangong Tso, who was tracking Qin Mu. Qin Mu and Jiang Miao's speed was rather fast, and they could soon see the light rising from Spirit Energy Mutual Shift Energy. The two of them increased their speed and reached a city. Qin Mu gathered some herbs and said, "When we return to Supreme Emperor Heaven, you will have to follow Qin Yu since I promised him to only borrow you for a few days." Jiang Miao looked at him with a troubled expression. "In the past, my intelligence had yet to awaken, so I had followed him, but how could I still do the same and coil around him? Cult Master, can you go and talk to him? I still owe him gratitude, so it isn't easy for me to speak." Qin Mu pondered over it, then said with a smile, I borrowed a young dragon from him and now I'm returning him a man. I also can't speak about this stuff. Tell him yourself. Jiang Miao frowned. They came to Spirit Energy Mutual Shift Bridge, but Jiang Miao dilly-dallied, willing to enter. Qin Mu smiled at him. When we reach Supreme Emperor Heaven, I will ask for you two to become sworn brothers. How about that? Relief flooded Jiang Miao, and he smiled back at Qin Mu. In that case, thanks for the trouble, Cult Master. The two of them were about to enter Spirit Energy Mutual Shift Bridge, when Pangong so suddenly hobbled over in a strut. He laughed out loud. Cult Master, what a small world. I trust you have been well. Qin Mu's eyes lit up, and he smiled. So it's Grandmaster. Do you still remember when you stood behind my back and tried to harm me? What did I tell you then? The next time I meet you, I'll take your head. How do you want to die? You're doomed and you still want to take my head. Pan Gongso sneered at him. Look who is behind me. Qing Yang, Qing Ya, and the rest of the strong practitioners of the Dragon Village walked out. Qing Ya waved her hand at Qing Mu excitedly and said with a smile, Brother Qin, old ancestor permitted us to leave the village. Qin Mu was both surprised and delighted. He hurriedly said, Elder Qing Huang allowed you guys to leave the village to gain experience. Truth be told, my heavenly saint cult is currently in need of people. Pan Gongso was dumbfounded, then his expression changed to one of terror. He couldn't help exclaiming inside, this guy didn't just kidnap one young dragon, but a whole bunch of them. This is bad, this is bad. There's no time to lose, time to flee. Just as he was about to go, a middle-aged man appeared behind him. Qing Yang's huge hand pressed down on his shoulder as he smiled down at him. Brother Qin, this little Dao friend should be your friend, right? It's all thanks to him that we were able to find you so quickly. Qin Mu looked at them with a smile that wasn't really a smile. I indeed have to thank Grandmaster. Brother Yang, seize him, this guy is a god at escaping. This video will end here.